afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming to the press conference for the 5th bi-monthly monetary policy review meeting for 2016-17. Before I talk about the monetary policy decision, I would like to start by thanking the staff and management of all our banks, both private sector and public, for their dedicated work over the last 4 weeks during this process of withdrawal of legal tender status. I want to also acknowledge the unstinting effort of staff at the RBI and our currency presses in this context. Coming to the monetary policy decision, in its October resolution, the Monetary Policy Committee took a calibrated policy judgment of a reduction of 25 basis points in the policy repo rate on the basis of its assessment of the inflation path for the rest of the year, based on the information available up to August and high-frequency indicators in September. Inflation outcomes in September and October, as well as the latest projections for Q4 2016-17, vindicates this stance. It may be recalled that in October, the MPC envisaged a trajectory taking headline inflation towards 5% by March 2017, with risks tilted to the upside. Since then, a couple of risks have waned. One, the disbursement of salaries and arrears under the 7th Pay Commission's award has not been disruptive to inflation outcomes. Two, the extension of 2 months given to the Ministry of Finance to issue the notification on higher allowances under the Commission's award 2017, with risks tilted to the upside. Since then, a couple of risks have waned. One, the disbursement of salaries and arrears under the 7th Pay Commission's award has not been disruptive to inflation outcomes. Two, the extension of 2 months given to the Ministry of Finance to issue the notification on higher allowances under the Commission's award could push its fuller effect into the next financial year rather than this financial year. The committee felt that it is now important to ensure that the targets of 5% for Q4 of 2016-17 and of 4 plus or minus 2% for the medium term are achieved. This assumes critical importance in view of the stickiness in inflation, excluding food and fuel, what we call core. The recent rising profile of international crude prices and the continuing firmness in the prices of some salient food items. Accordingly, the MPC was of the view that given the reduction of the policy rate of 25 basis points in October, which cumulated to a reduction of 175 basis points since January 2015, a further reduction in the policy rate is not warranted at this juncture. It may be recalled that an incremental CRR was applied on banks' increase in net demand and time liabilities between September 16 and November 11, as part of our liquidity management operations to manage the return of specified banknotes into the system as deposits. This was intended as a purely temporary measure to manage the transition from an exclusive reliance on LEF operations to a mix of instruments, including the MSS issuances. The government has proactively responded to the situation by enhancing the limit of MSS securities to 6 lakh crores or 6 trillion rupees. This has enabled the withdrawal of the incremental CRR with effect from the fortnight of December 10th. Banks will no longer have to bear the burden of the incremental CRR as they will be adequately compensated through the coupons on MSS securities. I think we can, may I request before we get to the question and answer, first Mr. Gandhi to apprise us on the issues related to the withdrawal of legal character status of the notes and the currency management.
Thank you, sir. There have been several questions about the decision to withdraw the legal tender status of rupees 1000 and rupees 500 of the old series notes. The motivations for the decision are to deal with the problem of high quality counterfeit notes in these denominations and unearth black money that may be held in cash. The decision has not been taken in haste but after detailed deliberations. There had to be a high level of secrecy surrounding this decision, and the fact is that such a large country was indeed taken by surprise when the decision was announced. The Reserve Bank and the central government were conscious of certain immediate difficulties that the public at large could face, and all efforts were made to minimize them and mitigate them. The problems of the common persons were at the top of the policymakers' radar, and all dispensations were calibrated to address them without at the same time jeopardizing the achievement of the larger policy objectives. The Reserve Bank and the central government run note presses are working to their full capacity, and all efforts are being made to reach the notes to every part of the country. In fact, during this period, that is from 10th November 2016 to 5th December 2016, the Reserve Bank had supplied to the public banknotes of various denominations worth near about 4 lakh crores of rupees. As regards the lower denomination of the notes, that is rupees 100, 50s, 20s and 10, the Reserve Bank over its counters and through bank branches all over the country has supplied 19.1 billion pieces of denominations in this period. This is more than what the Reserve Bank had supplied to the public in the whole of the last 3 years. We reiterate that there is adequate supply of notes, and hoarding of notes helps nobody's cause. We also strongly advocate the public to switch to digital payment modes, given that there are several options, there are adequate safeguards, and there is an increasing acceptability of this mode of payment by a large number of recipients.
May I request Mr. Mundra to say a few words, and then Mr. Vishwanathan.
I think I may take this opportunity to speak a little bit on the subject which was most discussed in detail in the last policy, that is around the asset quality. I appreciate that as of now the questions and focus in your mind is elsewhere, but nonetheless, very briefly, from the September quarter result which has come from the banking system, while there had been an incremental percentage of gross NPA and net NPA, there had been marginal reduction in restructure advances, and after blending two, there has been a slight uptick in the overall level of stressed asset in the banking system. But there are few things which need to be noted. Number one, the formation of incremental NPA has decelerated. The provision coverage ratio at the system level has slightly improved, and compared to relative to the previous year, in this half year, the recoveries have been better than what they were in the corresponding period, and the write-offs have reduced to some extent. So, as in past, maximum NPA continue to be contributed by the industry segment in the asset portfolio, and the usual 5-6 sectors which were showing the larger stress, it continue to remain so. Thank you.
Yeah, on the regulation side, basically the fact that there has been a deceleration in NPAs, the demand for dispensations has come down. What we had announced in the last policy, we talked in terms of taking the S4A, but in fact, if you see what we did, we went a little beyond that. We allowed the banks to, implement S5 by 25 even in fewer cases, up to 250 crore rupees. And of course, last week we also issued the large exposure guideline. The idea being that one, we need to deal with the current stock of NPS, but also we tried to find ways to reduce the accretion to the stock of NPS. That's the kind of effort that they're doing.
Thank you. We'll now take questions. I'll start with Pradeep Pandya.
सर सबसे बड़ा सवाल जो सभी लोग इस समय पूछ रहे हैं कि ये जो लाइनें लगी हुई हैं, आपने जैसे कुछ डिटेल्स दी है कि कितने नए आपने करेंसी नोट्स जारी किए हैं, आपका क्या असेसमेंट है कि अभी कितना डेफिसिट है, कितने और कैश आपको देना पड़ेगा, प्रिंट करना होगा या बैंकों को सप्लाई करना होगा, और कब तक आपको लगता है कि जो आपने विड्रॉवल्स पे लिमिट लगाई है वो आप हटा पाएंगे और जैसे 8 नवंबर तक था वैसे ही एटीएम और बैंक से पैसे निकल पाएंगे?
Thank you, sir. This problem will not be there. So that's what we are saying continuously. We are assuring the public that continuous supply will be coming along. And about the limits to be revised, and that is a constantly in our radar. Constantly we are recalibrating the needs of the public and accordingly modifying it.
सर यानी अभी आपका असेसमेंट क्या है कि कितना डेफिसिट है, कितने और?
Now, next question, please. Ira.
Governor, in your statement, you talk about the fact that the impact on the economy will be transient, and you go on to say that a fuller analysis, I'm not quoting the exact words, is awaited. Did the Central Board of the Reserve Bank of India recommend this to the government in its judgment? How did it make its judgment if they didn't have an understanding of how the economy is going to get impacted? And how long will this replacement process take, Governor? We really would like to know that. Because the longer it takes, the more the hit to the economy.
When we discussed about the withdrawal of legal tender characteristics, various possibilities and various impact has been analyzed, and the assessment that we have made is that with the available stock of notes and the production plan, based on that we were confident, that was our belief, that we could meet the requirements of the public. And that's why just now, as I mentioned, 19 billion notes, which was equivalent to what we supplied in 3 full years, that was in our custody and which we have given to the public. So that is why the assessment which have been made, which included the possible impact, temporary impact that has been made in the reference have been made in the statement also, that has also been noted.
So, Governor, this was...
Just add to that. I mean, the motivations for the decision were to deal with the problem of high quality counterfeit notes and unearth black money that may be held in cash. The decision was not and has not been taken in haste, but after detailed deliberations, the consequences that have emanated from that were taken on board, and that's why the planning, the process and the implementation was what it was, keeping in mind that high secrecy had to be maintained. The central bank and the government were conscious of certain immediate difficulties for the public at large, and all efforts were made to mitigate them. As Mr. Gandhi said, and I would like to reiterate, that the problems of the common persons in this context were at the top of our radar, and all dispensations were put into place to ensure that the period for disruption is the minimal while we recalibrate our note supply to the denominations that were not withdrawn in terms of the legal tender character.
Is it March, sir? Is it June?
We need to give others a chance. Lata?
So how much notes have come back, the old notes?
The old notes that have come back, it amounted to, as of now, 11 lakh crores, 11.85, almost 12 lakh crores, we can see.
Is that as of yesterday, sir?
Supriya?
Sorry, 11.55.
11.55.
Governor Patel, there is this speculation around a special dividend to be paid by the RBI on the extinguished currency. Is the RBI going to humor the government if the demand comes in? Because people have opposed it and believe that this is going to challenge your autonomy and may not be the best assessment of your balance sheet.
Actually, the withdrawal of legal tender characteristic status does not extinguish any of the RBI's balance sheets, and therefore there is no implication on the balance sheet as of now. So that question does not arise as of now.
No question of a special dividend right now.
Not just by the withdrawal of legal tender character, no. Even then, they still carry the liability of the RBI as long as only the legal tender characteristic status is withdrawn.
Sir, in the beginning of the year, you all spoke about moving to a neutral stance on liquidity. How much longer will it take now for you all to achieve that? And how much more complicated does it get because of the uncertainty that you all mentioned and the MPC notes about the currency withdrawal?
Actually, we had said that we would move to a neutral stance over a period of time, and that continues to be the objective. And as the temporary effects of these abate, we will be on that saddle path.
Leaving the rates unchanged today, does it leave you with space to cut intercycle after the Fed moves next week?
Our decision had nothing to do with the Fed move. As you know, the Fed move has been factored in by all financial markets, and we are, what we have said in the last paragraph is where we are, that we will wait for more data to come in and then take a call. Given that we want to achieve the 5% by Q4 2016-17, and we are on track to do that, and with incoming data, if we find that on a durable basis some space is found, then we'll take a look at that.
The choice of denominations have to be based on the total level of transactions that people want to conduct. So it has to facilitate easy way of transacting any amount of value. So that way different denominations, the need for different denominations are definitely felt, and and that's why it was a choice that 2000 rupee notes was decided to be printed. Preference of a particular denomination by different sets of people are always there, because somebody may like a particular denomination, somebody may not like. That is their perception. But when we introduce a denomination, that is taken care of an average common minimum requirement.
Just to, what we have done over the last 2 weeks is recalibrated our production towards the 500 and the 100s. And once that happens, the circulation of the 2000s will also go up. And we will see the benefits of those coming in the coming days as the production supplies reach the banks, and therefore some of this concern will be alleviated in a practical sense rather than just a theoretical sense. Govardhan?
Sir, so there's a mention of this reduction in the GDP estimate by about 50 basis points because of various factors. Until there has been no rate action or in terms of the liquidity action, because you say that it is still, you have to comprehend about how it's going to play out. So why there was no action when you actually factored in a drop in growth rates?
So the GBA estimates are down 50 basis points. Much of it is due to the Q2 revision, which is in the past, right? Which surprised everyone on the downside. The SBN is also factored in, but that is only about 15 basis points, and we regard that as a very transitory phenomenon. So monetary policy shouldn't be reacting to very transitory phenomena.
हो रही है कि बैंक अकाउंट पोर्टेबिलिटी की लेके कई मंचों पर डेप्यूटी गवर्नर सर ने बोला है, तो सर अभी जो हाल की घटनाएं हुई है, जिस तरह से डिमोनेटाइजेशन के बाद बहुत सारे लोग अपने रिस्पेक्टिव बैंक से नाराज है, उससे पहले डेबिट कार्ड फ्रॉड का था, तो उसके बाद भी कुछ बैंकों के प्रति लोगों का परसेप्शन चेंज हुआ, तो सर ये जो बैंक अकाउंट पोर्टेबिलिटी पे आरबीआई किस तरह से आगे बढ़ रहा है, अभी तक कितनी प्रोग्रेस हुई है, या फिर ये माना जाए कि बहुत लंबी दूरी की सोच है और आने वाले 5, 7, 8, 10 साल में कुछ होने वाला नहीं है?
वास्तविकता दोनों के बीच में है, न ये कल होने जा रहा है, न इसमें 8 साल की कोई रुकने की आवश्यकता है। देखिए, एक कल्पना दी थी, कुछ चीजें ये होती हैं कि जब इंडस्ट्री की अपनी तैयारी हो और इंडस्ट्री की अपनी तैयारी से अगर वो चीजें आए तो वो सबसे अच्छी होती हैं, लेकिन उसके पश्चात जो बहुत सारे अल्टरनेट चैनल में डेवलपमेंट हुए हैं, जैसे अब यूपीआई आ गया है, डिजिटल चैनल्स का प्रयोग बढ़ रहा है, तो काफी हदों तक ये उस आवश्यकता को पूरी करेगा। एक और इसमें एक मुख्य बात होगी कि जैसे जैसे लोगों में ये चेतना आएगी और वो अपने अकाउंट को आधार से जोड़ेंगे, जब अकाउंट सब आधार से जुड़ें तब ये जो पोर्टेबिलिटी है ये ज़्यादा मजबूती से की जा सकती है। तो मुझे लगता है कि कुछ समय इसमें अपने आप लगेगा, लेकिन भविष्य की दिशा जरूर यही होगी।
Governor, is there any cost benefit analysis of the entire process of demonetization that has taken place? Plus, what happens if the entire demonetized currency note, it comes back to the banking system? Does that mean that there were never a black money problem?
I think the cost benefit is in the following way. The cost we are witnessing now, and that's in terms of inconvenience, which we are all aware of. The benefits are in the medium term and the long term, and that is on account of that the security of our notes is enhanced, because the new notes will have enhanced security features, so they'll be more difficult to forge or fake. Secondly, we will have more transparency. We will have, in terms of the fiscal and tax compliance, we will be at a better place. The public finances could improve, and a very important collateral benefit is the thrust on digitization that's taking place. The RBI, the banks, and the government are working very closely, and in fact, that benefit is going to catalyze and improve on a whole host of factors in terms of transparency, accountability, ease, and ultimately the cost of printing money, because as more digitization.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/etnow, and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at etnowlive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/etnow.